for hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee.
It's me, Tug.
That's right. Now, Tug who?
Tug who? I don't know. Who are you?
Me? I know who I am. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
Dr. Banner. Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's light!
It's the Josh Zodiac Podcast. On this episode of the Josh Zodiac Podcast, we are back in 2025 with a new episode talking about WWE Raw on Netflix, the Cowboys firing Mike McCarthy, tipping, and how you shouldn't be out eating if you can't fucking tip your server. And we'll also be talking about the retirement tour of the great John Cena. Anybody who knows me knows that I am a huge fan. You don't want to miss this episode. We're starting off the year with a bang. This is the Josh Zodiac Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the greatest podcast you've never heard of. That is, of course, the Josh Zodiac Podcast, a podcast that has no agenda and no real script, as far as you know that is. This is the podcast that believes that AEW is the modern-day version of WCW from the Monday Night Wars, and if you don't agree with me, just look at their current roster and see how many former WWE superstars they have, which mirrors what WCW had back in the 90s. Enough said. Oh, wow. It's been a minute since I've done an episode. This is the first episode of the year. Coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the podcast, next month. I'll talk more about that in later episodes. But definitely had a pretty interesting holiday. Spent it here in Boise. I did not go home. I stayed here. I actually moved from one place to another. Just more freedom, more to, just a lot more going on here where I'm currently at. I got my own bathroom. Before I had to share a bathroom with 4 other people. And anybody who shared a bathroom with one person can tell you how much of a pain in the ass that is. So we even had a kid who was washing his dishes in the bathtub. Yeah, you heard that right, folks. There was a kid who was about in his early 20s. I don't know what his deal was, but he was washing his dishes in the freaking bathtub, and he would do it in the middle of the night when I'm trying to get ready for work, because I got to be up at 5 to be on the road by 6 to be at work by 7:30. So, yeah. But enough about that. We definitely do have a lot to talk about on this particular episode, and before I get there, I'm trying to remember. I haven't done any of this stuff in a minute, so I'm trying to figure out where I probably should have done this before I jumped on, but we are going to jump into our first topic. Last Monday night was the premiere of the WWE Raw, to be specific, on Netflix, and I know, judging by what happened with the Logan, was it Logan Paul? Or I forget which Paul it was, but the Tyson fight. People were bitching about it buffering, and I can safely say that was not an issue. Granted, the numbers for Raw are nowhere near what people were watching on that. I'm sure the pay-per-view had like tens of millions of people. And I believe I saw Raw's numbers. It was just short of 5 million people, which is fine. No big deal. But it was definitely a great show. Definitely, it felt, and I can give credit this to Scuba Steve, because he's the one that said it first, but it had a very PLE WrestleMania type of vibe to it. It definitely was a great show, but there was one thing that stood out to me, and that was when Hulk Hogan came out to promote his beer, and the fans just straight up booed him. Just all you heard was just booing, and yeah, just like that. Just people just jeering him and hating on him, and people were like, well, maybe it's because of his, the show was in Los Angeles right before the fires, by the way. Like a day or two before the fires. Yeah, people were booing him, trying to say that, oh, it's political, but yet The Undertaker came out, who leans more towards the conservative versus the liberal side, and he got a huge pop. So I'm thinking this crowd in LA is like, fuck Hulk Hogan, because it's no secret that Hulk Hogan has been kind of a racist prick in the past. He's dropped the N-word a couple of times. So, and for me personally, I have never been a Hulk Hogan guy. Growing up, I was a Macho Man Randy Savage. I just thought he was more colorful. He was more charismatic. He was definitely better in the ring than Hogan ever was and will ever will be. It's a damn shame that he's no longer with us. I know Hulk and all the bullshit that you hear about backstage with Hogan, like he not wanting to put people over, he had to have the title for himself, and just all the shit you hear about, and it's like, I'm not surprised that these aging WWE fans are booing Hulk Hogan, and people are, oh well, we wouldn't be where we were without Hulk Hogan. I tend to disagrey. We wouldn't be where we were because of Vince McMahon. And we won't even talk about the bullshit he has done in the past. That's a whole different episode. But I'm actually very excited. There was an episode of Raw last night. I'm filming this on January 14th, which is Tuesday. There was an episode last night. It definitely had a lot of promos. There was a new wrestler, Penta, I think is his name. I've never heard of the guy before. At least not, I've never really watched his stuff. So don't know a whole lot about him, but it was a pretty good show. And the cool thing about Netflix hosting Raw now is that there's no time restraint. And they've said that the show could be an hour and a half. It could be 4 hours. They don't know. There's no time constraint. They can pretty much do whatever they want. There's no, there's still commercials. And I expected that, come on, let's be real. They're not going to get rid of commercials. WWE has always had commercials and always will be. There will never be a commercial-free show. Maybe the first hour. They've done that before. But, like I said, I'm hoping they put SmackDown on there too, because I just don't want to have to, watch it on Hulu or wherever it shows up on. I would rather watch them in one place and be fucking done. I'm hoping in the future, once that contract with USA, with SmackDown runs out, that they bring them over to Netflix. That way it's a one-stop shop. As far as I know, the PLEs will still be on Peacock. And again, this is different in America versus everywhere else. Everywhere else, everything is on Netflix. But here in America, for some reason, we're just everywhere. And they need to figure it out and get everything on one place. So, but anyway, enough about that. We'll top on our next topic, which happened as I was writing this episode. The Dallas Cowboys, off of a very disappointing season, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. It is hard. It's fucking hard to be a fan of the Cowboys when they play like complete and utter shit. They'll give Dak the money. They'll give CeeDee Lamb the money, and they'll hire back fucking Zeke Elliott, but they won't try to get a better running back like Derrick Henry in the Raw. Oh, we don't have the money. You gave Dak and CeeDee, and granted, Dak got hurt, early in the season, so it was all Cooper Rush. And CeeDee, even though he was hurt, was playing hurt. So CeeDee won a lot of respect for him, despite, they still had an outside shot at the playoff spot. He played, and once it was done, he's like, okay, cool. I'm not going to put my body through any more shit. I'm done. And I don't blame him. But with that being said, the Cowboys fired McCarthy, which I'm shocked because there was all these rumors that, Jerry's going to stick with him. Jerry wants to keep McCarthy in Dallas, which is so Jerry Jones, just doesn't have the finger on the pulse of what people want and what the team needs. But they finally fired McCarthy. But what I find ironic is that the Chicago Bears reached out. They wanted to talk to McCarthy about possibly hiring him as a coach, which if you're a Green Bay fan, you're like, fuck no, because, Green Bay used to be the spot that McCarthy coached when Aaron Rodgers won his only Super Bowl. But in doing so, Dallas has to wait until the season is over to talk to any head coach position, to any people about the head coach position. And I'm on record saying that Jerry needs to step the fuck down as a GM. Obviously, it's not working. It's 30 years. It's still not fucking working. And you hire Jimmy Johnson as either a coach, which I don't see that happening. Jimmy is far beyond that point. Or you hire Jimmy as a consultant / GM. Because this dude has been doing the Fox Sports thing since he left Miami back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So he's got his finger on the pulse of what to do, what not to do. I don't think it'll happen, but I'll be pleasantly surprised if it does because, Jimmy knows what he's doing. Early candidates I've been hearing about are Deion Sanders. I'm not sure how I feel about that. He did pretty good in Colorado. Granted, he was coaching his kids, but, coaching kids versus coaching men, two different things. But then again, I think Deion has enough pull and enough, moxie to kind of put that team where it needs to be, point them in the right direction, maybe even help out with the defense a little bit. Because the defense this year was decent. We had a lot of injuries. So, I'm not making excuses. They just look like shit all year, but injuries did not help. So, yeah, that's really all I'm going to say about that. We do have the playoffs going on. I think I went 3 for 3 on my wild card picks. I didn't think the Commanders were going to pull it off, but it is what it is. We're going to move on to our next subject. Those that know me know that I'm a big fan of history and also of movies and music. And something new I'm going to do on every episode that's not a review of a WWE PLE, which we have the Rumble coming up less than 2 weeks, and there will be an episode just for that. I want to start doing the number one movie and song this particular week in history, and I just pick a random year in my lifetime. I'm doing the quantum leap rule. You can only go back as far as your lifetime. So from 76 to now, that's where I'm going. Yes, I was born in 76. Fuck you guys that are laughing in the background. I can hear you. I hear you. That's disrespectful. How dare you? But the number one movie this week in 1985, and it was number one for, 9 weeks. So it was number one from January all the way to the beginning of March. And that movie is Beverly Hills Cop, the original. The first Beverly Hills Cop was the number one movie this week, which would be January 13th of 85. That particular week, it made $9.6 million in the box office. Looking at the numbers, it definitely, it made $11 million the opening weekend. And this is the in 85, this was before the big summer blockbusters were coming out. We had Jaws that came out, even Star Wars came out in the summer. But anybody knows, the first true real blockbuster summer movie was Batman in 1989. So, but yeah, Beverly Hills Cop was the number one movie this week in 85, and the number one song, which I am actually not surprised by this, and it was number one the entire month of January in 1985, and that is Madonna's Like a Virgin. I could have sworn that movie or that song came out in 84. I could have sworn that song came out in 84, but it was 85, same year Back to the Future came out. Which is cool. You know, that's one of Madonna's first hits. It kind of put her on the map, and anybody remembers at the VMAs that year. Was it that year or the year before? I forget what it was. It might have been the year before. At the VMAs, Madonna performed Like a Virgin in a wedding dress, a white wedding dress, and just rolled around on the floor being all Madonna. So definitely kind of cool. And that's a good song. And again, that was like the stepping stone to her career was Like a Virgin. Okay. Now, speaking of history, this day in history, which would be the 14th of January. Actually, I picked the 15th. I'm stupid. I forgot I picked the 15th, which is the day this podcast will drop. On this date in 1929, Martin Luther King Jr. was born, which is ironic because next Monday is MLK Day. Cool. Let's see what else we got here. This is actually kind of funny. 2001, Wikipedia launched. Let's see. The song American Pie hit #1 on the pop charts, and I know that's going against what I said about, my birth year and all that, but hey, that's a good song. That's a great fucking song. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, the Packers beat the Chiefs in the very first Super Bowl in 1967. Yeah, that one. That not a fan of that particular stat. What else we got here? There's, for anybody who's old enough to remember the show Hill Street Blues, it ran on this day in 1981. Not a whole lot of history going on this particular day. I picked a shitty day to do history, but it is what it is. But that being said, I'm going to go on to our main topic of this episode.
Program loaded and ready.
Tipping. It's 2025. And for someone like myself who has worked as a delivery driver, either for a pizza company or doing it independently for like DoorDash or Walmart delivery or whatever, tipping has become a staple of, if you don't tip, you're not making any money as the server. I do know from my experience when I worked at Domino's and even when I worked at Papa John's as a driver that you're not making minimum wage. You're making, I know at Domino's I made $4.25, $4.50 maybe, and then whatever tips I made and whatever money I made per run. So you're very dependent on the tipping. The same thing can go with DoorDash and Uber Eats and all those. You get a base fee, which is usually super low, like a couple bucks, and then you're dependent on what they tip you. Now, I'm going to look at this from both perspectives because I live on both sides. And I want to read this meme that I saw on Facebook as I was writing this episode. It says, "Tipping is not a city in China. It's what you do if you want good service." Now, that's the wrong answer. Tipping is something you do when you get good service, not if you want good service. I'm not going to tip you at the beginning. Like if I'm at a restaurant, I sit down. I'm not tipping you when I first sit down. I'm tipping you at the end when my meal is done and I'm paying the check. If you want a good tip, now I'm speaking for me. If you want a good tip, there are simple things you can do to get a good tip out of me. Be friendly and courteous. Have a conversation with me. You don't have to sit there and be my best friend or nothing, but at least take an interest in how my life is. I'm not asking for the girlfriend experience, but how's your day going? That's cool. What are your weekend plans? Be social. But the big thing for me is my fucking drink. Whatever drink I'm drinking, if it gets to halfway, that's the timer. How long is it going to take for you to refill that drink when I get to the halfway point? and how many sips of it am I going to have before you refill it? I've had wait staff refill it like quick, super quick. Oh, here's a refill of your iced tea or your Dr. Pepper, whatever you're drinking. I one time as a joke, and this is back when I was still married to my ex-wife Suzanne. We were at I will never forget this. We were at Chili's, and I made the joke. I said, I'll take a Dr. Pepper, but just a heads up, I'm going to be going through quite a few glasses of it, so you might want to just bring me a pitcher. I was totally kidding. And, of course, the ex-wife was like, yeah, he does drink a lot of Dr. Pepper. The waitress came, handed me a glass, and then handed me a pitcher. There was no ice, in this pitcher, which is straight Dr. Pepper. And anybody knows, when the fountain drink, it's actually pretty decently cold. It's not like super cold, but it's cold enough. But she brought me the pitcher, and then she threw a straw into it. That made my fucking night. I tipped her very well. And it was one of the few times that me and the ex actually agreed on something. But we definitely took care of her. She was super friendly. She was super awesome. And a little caveat to that story, she had to refill that pitcher one time because I went through it like it was, because I had free reign. Like usually I kind of conserve what I have because I don't know how they're going to refill it. I went through 2 pitchers of Dr. Pepper and one glass from Chili. And Chili's, they're not very big glasses. Their drink can go fairly quickly. But with this particular meme about if you want good, I can't even talk today. It's what you do if you want good service. I want to read some of the comments because if it'll let me, here we go. The top one, the very first comment is wrong. It's what you get if you get good service, which is what I already said. That's kind of a given. If you want a tip, perhaps you should give outstanding service again. And I know I've been on the other end of this too, especially when it comes to like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Spark delivery. Sometimes they'll pre-tip before you get it. A lot of people, myself included, I'm guilty of this too, will not take a delivery if the tip isn't good enough. The base pay could be whatever it is, but if you get, and it also depends on how far away you're going. If I'm going to go to, say I'm going to go to Popeyes, we'll just use that as an example. I'm going to go to Popeyes and pick up an order for a customer, but they live 10 miles away. So that means I got to drive 10 miles there to where they live and 10 miles back to where the hotspot area is, and those who have delivered know what I'm talking about. You got to drive all the way back. And if they're just getting, a 2-piece and a biscuit and a drink, and they're paying you the base pay of like $3-4 and they give you a $2 tip, that's $6. And that's for 20 miles round trip. It's not worth it. And a lot of people don't understand that. I know I'm going against what I said, but at the end of the day, I get it. You get good service, you get tipped well. But there's a lot of people out there, especially on the Walmart app, that do what's called tip baiting. They will put a huge fucking tip on their bill. The driver will bring it out there, do their thing, and then the next day the tip is fucking gone. The Walmart allows the customer to either subtract or add to their tip. 9 times out of 10, they take it away. And I've seen posts on Facebook where it's a $31 tip and it's down to nothing, 0. Or I saw one where it was like a $51 tip and they tipped them a penny. That is fucking petty. And that is done on purpose. I've said this before. With Spark, they should get rid of that. If you're gonna put a big tip amount on there, you're gonna give it to the fucking driver. Now that's not an invitation to do shitty work. I myself, when I take the big tip ones, I make sure that they have, if it's food or if it's grocery delivery, that everything that they're supposed to get is there. They have straws, they have napkins. I have hot bags to keep their food nice and warm. That way it doesn't get cold. Or I have a separate bag for cold items. That way if they order, like Baskin Robbins has delivery apparently. Or even Marble Slab those ice cream places. You can put their stuff in that bag and to keep it cold. That way it doesn't melt on the way. But I'm going to read some more of these comments because I'm actually getting a little frustrated. It's what you choose to do if you get good service. It's a thank you for doing a good job gesture, not a please do a good job gesture. I'm not sure how to read that. Minimum wage has jumped insanely high. I still tip, but let's be honest, I'm already paying their increased hourly. See, now that I don't agree with, because a lot of wait staff don't get paid minimum wage. They get paid like $2. So they are heavily dependent on your tips. And I will say this, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to eat out. And I'm that way too. If I want to eat something, I'll go to DoorDash, and DoorDash, I'm sorry, their prices are they jack up the prices of all the shit that's on there. So I'm like, well, how far is it? Like the nearest Taco Bell here is like a mile away. And I'm like, it's more cost effective for me to go pick it up myself. Yeah, I got to wait in line, but I use the app. I tell them, hey, I'm here to pick up my shit, pick it up, take it home, and I eat it. 20 minutes tops. Usually delivery takes 30 to 40 minutes. So I'm already ahead of the curve. And I say that as a former delivery driver because, the delivery fees for these pizza places and even DoorDash are just fucking insane. And another side note to pizza places is that they charge a delivery fee, but you know how much of that money the driver gets? Nothing. They get zero. It all goes to the company, which I think is bullshit. If you're charging a delivery fee, you're getting another, I don't know what, last time I ordered pizza for delivery, it was like a $5, $6 delivery fee. Yeah, the driver gets paid a amount per trip, but that's just a fraction of what that delivery fee is. So they're getting an extra $6 off of you per night. Now, let's just hypothetically, you're in a busy store. You do 100 deliveries a night in the store, not the driver. That would be fucking insane. You're getting $600 a day. And so we'll say that's the average, 100 per day. And you multiply that by 365 days. That is an insane amount of money. And I didn't think to add that up. So let's do 600 times 365. $219,000. And that's just one store. That is just one fucking store that they're making almost $250,000 off of their customers off of delivery fees. I'm sorry, that money should go to the driver. Take away the per fee, the per run fee, and give them the $6. Because 9 times out of 10, some people are going to tip well on delivery drivers. Some of them aren't. A lot of the time they order on the app, they pre-tip. That's fine. Sometimes they won't tip on the card until you bring it to them, and they'll fill it out, which is fine too. Either way is fine. If you want to pre-tip, if you know the drivers in your delivery area and they're pretty good, pre-tipping is pretty cool. But if you're new like me, I'm new to this area, so I'm not quite sure how the delivery is for Domino's or Papa John's or whatever. So I'm going to, okay, cool. They were here in 25 minutes. Everything got here. Everything looks pretty good. I'm going to, out of a $20 is unrealistic nowadays for delivery. We'll say it's a $30 tab. Okay, cool. I'm going to give them $7. They get just shy of 30%. They're getting like 25 or just a little bit more than 25, which is acceptable for any kind of tip like that. But there's definitely two sides of this. Of course, and something I just thought about. People who expect a tip that are not providing you a service. My example of this is Starbucks. Barista takes your order. I'll have a tall black coffee. Make it simple. I don't drink coffee, but it's the first thing I thought of. Okay, cool. That'll be $125. You pay for it. And then they have a tip jar right in front of them. Or even on the receipt, it'll say tip amount. I put a line through it. The rare times I go to Starbucks, which I get their tea. Their teas are actually pretty good. Put a line through it, sign it. I'm done. Excuse me. And they'll look at you ugly, and I'm like, you're doing your fucking job. You're not doing anything above and beyond. You're really not. You're not a delivery driver bringing it to me. You are taking the order. The person over there behind the counter is the one that's making my order, and then they're not even bringing it to me. They're putting it on the counter, and they say, Zodiac, your order's ready. And okay, cool, thank you. Why am I tipping that? Why do people tip that? Coffee is expensive enough as it is. And then you're going to throw another couple of bucks? Go fuck yourself. I'm sorry. And even in drive-thrus, oh, you want to tip me? No. I got a tip. Nothing. I'm sorry. And people can call me a Karen. They can call me an asshole. I don't care. The bottom line, if I'm not sitting in my car, if I'm sitting in my car, or if I'm making the order in the store, you're not fucking getting tipped. But if you're bringing me my actual order, have it be in a restaurant or having it delivered to my home, you're not getting a tip. It's that fucking simple. This self-entitlement bullshit, it's so fucking annoying. Just people, this is awesome. Somebody said this sign is racist because it talked about China. This is actually probably accurate. I think tipping will go down as the economy goes down and prices go up. People have less money but still want to go out. Meals are expensive and tips are less because of these factors, no matter how good of a job they do. See, I think that's accurate too, because not everybody thinks the way that I do. People want to go out, and that's fine. But I'm like, if you're going to go out to eat and you don't want to tip, get that fucking shit to go. Everybody has to go now. Make the order on the app or online. Go, Chili's is another, I love Chili's. Chili's is great. Their Southwest egg rolls are the fucking shit. I love them. Their chicken tenders are pretty good too. No, not the chicken crispers is what they're called. They have an area just for to go. Get your shit. They pack it up. They bring it to you. You're gone. You know, pick it up in 10, 20 minutes. Take your ass home. Eat your shit. You know, I said it before and I'll say it again. If you don't have the money to tip, you don't have the money to eat out. It's that fucking simple. Take your cheap ass to Costco and get a fucking hot dog and a drink for $1.99. Which, by the way, I did that recently. I've never. This is totally off topic, and I apologize. I have never been to a Costco in my life. I've lived in places that had them. Never had a membership. Had them in San Diego when I lived there. LA had them too, if I'm not mistaken. Never set foot in one until 2 weeks ago when my roommate put me on her membership. I got the card in my wallet. This past weekend, I just needed one item, went in, got what I needed, and I remember, fucking snack bar. I wanted to check this out. So I ordered, and people that have been to Costco are going to be like, oh my God, it's a lot of food. I ordered the hot dog, which is a 100% beef hot dog. It came with a drink, and then I ordered a slice of pizza. And it came out to just under $4. And I'm like, you can't fucking beat that. That's crazy impressive right there. And the order was ready in like 2 seconds. Like they order $5.71. I'm like, God, okay, cool. And then I grabbed everything. I grabbed my drink, grabbed a couple napkins. And when I went to open up the hot dog was probably longer than the coney you can get at fucking Sonic. This thing was fucking huge. I'm like, God. And I felt inadequate for a minute. I'm like, wow, even Costco's got a bigger wiener than I do. So I put some ketchup on it. They didn't have mustard, and I'm the weirdo that puts ketchup on their fucking hot dog. I don't give a shit what anybody says. And I sat down and I ate this food, and the pizza was amazing. And apparently you can get a large pizza at Costco for 10 fucking bucks. Granted, I can get a large pizza from fucking Domino's for $8. But if I'm out shopping at Costco and picking up some shit, why do I want to go somewhere else to pick something up when I can just get it right here? It's definitely, I'll pay the extra $2. It doesn't matter. But the food was so excuse me, the food was so fucking good that I'm actually thinking about doing that like every weekend, just fucking having a lunch day at fucking Costco. Hot dog, drink, and a fucking slice of pizza. Back in a day, because I do my grocery shopping once a week anyway. So, let me look for one more comment about tipping, and then I'm going to get off. Oh, okay. Here we go. Tipping is not preemptive. It is after the fact. Not based on food quality, based on service quality. Well, see, I disagree, but I'll get to that in a minute. If you get good service, you should give a good tip. Great service, above and beyond service, then a great tip. Not part of their salary. That's the employer's job. That's why tips should not be taxed. Oh my God, that's 100% accurate right there. Any tip you get should not be taxed because you're getting fucked. You're not making enough money. And I agree, if you do great service, you get a great tip. If you go above and beyond, I've given people 50% tips before. It's not often, but I've given them. And they weren't at Hooters or Twin Peaks. They were at Chili's or Applebee's or back home, Kiko's, which, oh, God, I miss Mexican food so much. But I digress. But that's the point I'm making, though, is that you're tipping for service. And this is not really me picking on anybody. If you're not going to, I know there are people that don't tip, and that's fine. But you're going to piss off the wrong waiter or waitress one day. And you're going to have a fucking waiting moment, which is something I probably should have thought about playing before this episode. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. But to recap, what I'm trying to say is that if you can't tip, don't go out to eat. Get that shit to go. But at the same time, people who deliver for Uber Eats, DoorDash, and all that, they really should put more emphasis on putting. You want to build a reputation of being a good driver. So do your job. Yeah, you're going to take the shitty ones, but at the end of the day, I lost my train of thought. Fuck. Just do your fucking job. And it sucks when people take tips away. It happens. It also sucks when people don't tip you at all. But at the end of the day, you're still making some money, and if you're the kind of person that, and I see this on Facebook all the time, that, oh, well, I only do this is my income and but they bitch and bitch and bitch. I'm like, maybe you should look into doing something else with your life at this point. Granted, I did all of that for a year and a half, and I made decent money. I survived off of it. But I'm making way more money now doing what I do. And I'm happy. I've thought about doing it just like one day a week just for extra money. But it's like, I don't want to deal with the bullshit of the customers. And that comes down to it, It's just not that I'm lazy, I just don't want to deal with people. And even though my job is very customer oriented. Sorry, I kind of got on a high horse there about the tipping, and I do apologize, but this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I thought about doing this episode last year. I did not. Speaking of episodes, going forward, there will be an episode about the Rumble in a couple weeks. I will do the prediction / results and reaction, not a reaction video. I'm not doing those for the Rumble. Going forward, and I've already talked to these people. They've already agreed to be on. We might film the episode earlier just so I have it. But one thing with college football coming to an end on Monday, I'm going to have an old buddy from the now defunct All Content Entertainment, Anthony Cruz. He and I are going to be talking. Hang on. Sorry, I'm double checking something real quick. Yeah, it'll be Anthony Cruz and I will be talking about the NCAA transfer portal and if it's ruining college football or not. I have a strong opinion about that. I'm pretty sure he does too. He does host his own podcast, The Heart of College Football, I believe it's what it's called. I don't have it in front of me. But yeah, he and I are definitely going to talk about that after the college football championship game on Monday. And also because my buddy Scuba Steve and I share a birthday month together, and because we're both fans of Superman, we're going to have a birthday / Superman episode. Nothing but birthday shit and Superman shit. So, that one, the Scuba one will be coming out in February. I don't know. I got to get with Anthony about when he wants to record that. Like I said, it'll be after that game. But definitely have a lot on the plate, going forward. Do have topics that are near and dear to me that I do want to talk about. But that, almost the end of this episode. I will say that I want to thank you guys for joining me. And again, I do get off topic, and whenever I'm doing the show with Ben and Scuba, it gets even worse. We do an hour-and-a-half show, and we're only supposed to do 30 minutes. So, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love being on air with them. They definitely make it a lot of fun, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing it. So, if you like what you heard today and want to hear more, and if this is your first time here, I want to say thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. If you're a long-time listener, I also want to thank you for being here. There's lots more to come. You can search, like, and follow the podcast, the Josh Zodiac Podcast, on Facebook. I do post memes and news and possible news stories on there. I'm not promoting the TikTok page anymore because of the whole ban that may be coming up, so I'm not promoting TikTok. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I'll figure it out as we go. I'm hearing other places to do TikTok-like videos. So once I have that figured out, I will promote it. But until then, it's just going to be Facebook for the page. You can like, subscribe, and follow the podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and YouTube for the audio. I am not going to be doing the video anymore. I just don't want to deal with the editing and everything. People can hate me for it, but it's just less of me you have to see, and I'm sure people are happy about that. If you have a topic that you want to hear on the show, or just have a particular question you want to ask, or you just want to drop some notes, I'm open to anything. Just email the show at thejoshzodiacpodcast@gmail.com. I definitely will give you a shout out on the episode that I read your question or concern on. Yeah, I try to get people to tell me some of their tipping stories, and I didn't get any, so I had to share you one of mine, which I thought was pretty funny. The chilies and the pitcher of Dr. Pepper. I don't know why, just Dr. Pepper out of a fountain tastes so much better. I mean, it's good by itself, but when it's out of a fountain, it's just fucking perfection. And you don't have to, but if you want to support the podcast monetarily, big word, you can do it by going to CashApp or Venmo. CashApp is $ Josh Zodiac, and Venmo is at Josh Zodiac. It is very much appreciated, and you will definitely get a shout out on the show if you do contribute to the show. The last thing, and this was something that was thrown in my lap, I'm going to do this at least 12 times this year. WWE superstar John Cena announced last year that he is done. He is retiring after 2025. He already announced himself for the Rumble coming up in 2 weeks. Those that do know me know that I am a big fan. Excuse me. I am a big fan of John Cena, have been for quite some time. I have owned the World Heavyweight Spinner Belt, and I currently own the U.S. Spinner Belt. I fucking love that belt. That thing is one of my prized possessions. I fucking love it. The times I get to go to a live show, it's always in tow, and it always gets attention, no matter where you go. Can I get a picture with your belt? Yeah, sure, but don't go too fucking far, motherfucker. But with that being said, there is very few in professional wrestling, not just WWE, but professional wrestling, that are as good on the mic when it comes to cutting a promo than John Cena. So with that being said, I'm going to be posting just the audio, not the video, of his best promos over the 21, 22, wait, hold on. He started in 2001. So yeah, 24-year career. which is impressive. I'm going to be posting a promo every episode that's not wrestling related. I will not do it for the PLE reviews. I'll just do it for the regular ones. So the minimum 12 of these promos I'll be posting. The one I'm posting right now, this is from Raw on August 17th, August 17th, 2015. At the time, Seth Rollins was the World Heavyweight Champion, or the champion, and John Cena was the U.S. champion. And this is right before SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken. This is the contract signing. This is the promo that Cena will cut on Rollins. I don't want to hear Rollins talk. I can't stand that fucking crybaby, especially with all the shit about CM Punk. But I'll be posting this promo on here for you to listen to. But before I do that, I want to say again, thank you for listening to the Josh Zodiac podcast. I hope you join me in the near future. And until then, this is the way.
The United States champion. You're trying to defend your own title reign when half of them are chanting, "Let's go Cena," and the other half are chanting, "Cena sucks," and not a damn fool in the building is saying a damn thing about Seth Rollins. What I'm going to do to you Sunday is going to haunt you for the rest of your life, and is going to haunt you for yours. I am a 15-time world heavyweight champion. And you see where I'm going with this. You see, I designed this stuff months ago because I figured there was no chance in hell I was ever getting close to that championship again until Captain Morgan over here opened his big, fat, stupid mouth. Payback for me is the easiest thing ever. I show up Sunday and I do what I do. I win. I win and I become the world heavyweight champion for the 16th time. And this Sunday, when you lose, you lose. Because the all-time championship record is held by your mentor, a man who passed his legacy to you, Ric Flair. This Sunday, I'm going to prove you wrong. You ain't the future, you're a footnote. You are an absolute answer to a trivia question. All you are ever going to be is, who did John Cena beat to become the 16-time World Heavyweight Champion? It's starting to sink in, isn't it? It's starting to weigh on you. You see, Sunday's not just a match. Sunday, you fight to protect everything, the past, the present, and the future of this man's legacy. Bestowed to him by Ric Flair, he is trying to bestow it upon you. There is one major difference here. Triple H was never Ric Flair's. This Sunday, I'm gonna make you mine.
John Cena perhaps more focused than we've ever seen before. And Sunday at SummerSlam, either Cena or Rollins will become the first man ever to walk out with both the WWE World title and the United States title.
History's going to be made, and history awaits.
And look at Triple H. He realizes what Cena said is true. It's sinking in. Pressure's on Rollins come Sunday.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
It's the Josh Zodiac podcast.